Welcome to Reformed Thinking. It's good to have you with us again.
It is good to be here.
Usually when we sit down to record these, we have a stack of commentaries, maybe some systematic theology textbooks, or we're looking at a specific confession.
The heavy hitters.
The heavy hitters, yeah. But today, we're doing something slightly different. We are pulling a paperback off the shelf that I suspect a lot of our listeners have owned for years, maybe even decades.
Oh, it's a staple. If you walk into any used bookstore in the English-speaking world, you're going to find a copy. Probably several.
We are talking about C.S. Lewis and Mere Christianity. But, and this is a big but, we're not doing the Introduction to Christianity stuff today.
Right.
We aren't talking about the moral law or the trilemma. We are zooming in on Book 4, specifically a chapter called Time and Beyond Time.
Which is notorious for being the chapter where Lewis stops being the friendly Oxford Don explaining things over a pint and suddenly becomes a high-level metaphysician.
It is the chapter where he essentially says, look, if this hurts your head, just skip it.
He does. He calls it a silly idea at the start, purely out of humility. Right. But he includes it because he knows that for a certain type of mind, the concept of time is a massive, massive barrier to faith.
Right.
And frankly, for those of us in the Reformed camp, understanding God's relationship to time is not just some side issue. It's central to how we understand sovereignty, election, and the attributes of God.
That is what I want to get into. We're going to take this chapter apart, line by line, argument by argument. Our mission here is to see if we can solve a problem that I think nags at everyone, even if they don't admit it.
Okay, so what's the problem as you see it?
The problem is that I'm small, the universe is huge, and God is supposedly running the whole show. And I have a hard time believing that the CEO of the universe has time to listen to me complain about my mortgage or my sick cat. It feels, I don't know, arrogant to think he's listening.
That is the skeptic's objection Lewis starts with. And it's a fair objection, logically speaking, if you start with the wrong premises.
Lewis quotes a man who told him, I can believe in God all right, but what I cannot swallow is the idea of him attending to several 100 million human beings who are all addressing him at the same moment.
Notice the constraint there.
Yeah.
It's a logistical constraint. The skeptic is doing math.
Yeah.
He's saying, okay, 700 million Christians pray at 9:00 p.m. That is 700 million inputs. There are 60 seconds in a minute. The math just doesn't work.
It sounds like a denial of service attack on a server. Too many requests, the system crashes.
Or, to use the image that would have been current for Lewis, it's the switchboard operator.
Right, the old telephone exchange.
Picture a room in the 1940s. You have a lady sitting there with a headset and a board full of jacks. A light blinks, she plugs in. Number, please. She connects the call. Now imagine a million lights blinking at once.
Panic. Utter panic.
Absolute panic. She can't do it. She has to cue them. Please hold. Please hold. She has to take them sequentially, one after another.
Right.
And the skeptic looks at God and thinks, well, God is just a really, really big switchboard operator.
A super operator.
Right. Maybe he has 1,000 arms. Maybe he thinks a million times faster than we do. But there's still a limit. If he's taking a call from a guy in London, he is technically occupied. He might be occupied for a nanosecond, but he is occupied, and someone else has to wait.
And that's where the anxiety comes from. The skeptic thinks, I don't want to bother him. He's busy running the galaxies. You feel like you're just another blinking light on an overloaded board.
But the error here isn't about God's power. It isn't about how fast he can think. It's about God's very nature.
Okay.
The skeptic is assuming that God is subject to the same timeline that we are. He assumes God is standing on the timeline next to the switchboard, watching the seconds tick by on the wall clock.
That is the assumption we need to smash today.
We have to. Because God is in time, he is not the God of the Bible, and he certainly isn't the God of the Westminster Confession.
Okay, so let's back up and look at human time. Because to understand why God isn't in it, we have to understand what it is. Lewis does a really good job of making us feel the weight of our own limitations here.
He does. He describes our life as something that comes to us moment by moment.
It feels like a conveyor belt. That's the image that came to my mind.
That is a good image. You're standing on a spot in the belt. You can look backward and see where you were 5 seconds ago. That's the past.
And it's gone. You can't touch it.
It's gone forever. You can look forward and see where you'll be in 5 seconds. That's the future. You can't touch that either.
You're just locked in the now.
And the now is incredibly small. In fact, psychologists and philosophers argue about whether there's even such a thing as a true now. As soon as you acknowledge it, it's already passed.
It's already become a memory.
Exactly. But let's say, for the sake of argument, the now is a few seconds wide.
Lewis says there's very little room in it.
Right. Think about your own capacity. Can you listen to 2 podcasts at once?
No.
Yeah.
It just becomes noise. You can't process either one.
Can you read a book and hold a meaningful conversation with your spouse at the same time?
I have tried. It does not go well. Let's just say that.
Right. You are rationed. That's the word Lewis uses, and I love it. Our existence is rationed out to us. We get 1 teaspoon at a time, and when we drink that, we get the next teaspoon. We never get the whole bowl at once.
And because we're rationed, we're always in a hurry, we're always running out of teaspoons, there's always this feeling of scarcity.
Exactly. We are finite. We are creatures. And because this is the only reality we have ever known, we project it onto the Creator.
We just can't help it.
We assume God is also standing by the conveyor belt, waiting for the next moment to arrive. We think he has a past, a present, and a future, just like we do.
We think God is waiting for tomorrow, just like we are.
And that, theologically, is a heresy. I don't use that word lightly. If God is waiting for something, he is dependent on time. He's passive. He's changing.
Malachi 3.6. I am the Lord, I change not. The immutability of God.
Precisely. If God has to wait for 2027 to arrive, then in 2027 he will possess knowledge and experience that he does not possess now in 2026.
So he's growing, he's learning.
He's evolving. A God who evolves is not God. He's just a very old, very powerful creature who is also on the conveyor belt, just maybe a bit further down the line.
So the theologians, and Lewis points out that the theologians were way ahead of the scientists on this, said, no, God is not on the timeline.
Augustine talked about this. Calvin talked about this. God created time. Time is a creature. It's a thing he made, like a rock or a tree or an angel.
Right. You don't say a carpenter lives inside the table he made.
He is outside of it. He's distinct from it. So God is not in time. His life does not consist of moments following one another.
Okay, so if he isn't in time, where is he? What's the alternative?
He is in the eternal now.
That sounds like a tagline for a sci-fi movie. The eternal now. Help me grasp that.
It means that for God, all moments are present. He doesn't look back at the creation as something that happened a long, long time ago.
This is not a faded memory for him?
Not at all. And he doesn't look forward to the second coming as something that will happen in the future. He sees them both and everything in between right now.
So 10:03 p.m. tonight, when I'm praying, is just as present to him as the moment Noah stepped off the ark.
Yes.
And the moment the pyramids were built.
Yes. And the moment the last star in the universe burns out. It's all just now.
That's really hard to visualize.
It breaks our brains because we don't have the hardware to process it. We're wired for sequence, A, then B, then C. But let's go back to the skeptic's switchboard.
Okay. The overloaded operator.
The skeptic says, God can't hear a million prayers at 10:30 p.m. But if God is outside of time, he doesn't have to listen to them in the 1-minute slice of 10:30 p.m.
He's not constrained by that minute.
Not at all. He has all of eternity to listen to the prayers offered in that 1 minute.
Lewis uses the pilot analogy here. Let's walk through that because it adds some, high stakes to the idea.
It's a vivid picture. A pilot is flying a plane. Something goes wrong. The engine explodes. The wing shears off. He knows he's going down.
He has mere seconds, maybe less.
Maybe less. He sees the ground rushing up. The instrument panel is screaming. In that chaos, he yells out a prayer, God help me, or forgive me. It takes him half a second to say it. Then, impact.
Now, in our timeline, that half second is gone instantly. It's a blip. It's a fraction of a heartbeat. It's over before you can even register it.
And a skeptic thinks, God is busy handling a war in Europe. He can't possibly stop to focus on that half-second blip. He's got bigger fish to fry.
But Lewis argues that God isn't hurried. He's not rushed.
God is not rushing past that half second to get to the next second. Because God is outside the stream, he can pause. And again, our language fails us here. Words like pause are time words. He can dwell on that half second for as long as he wants.
He can devote infinite attention to that specific moment of the pilot's life.
Infinite attention. Think about that phrase. He isn't splitting his attention. It's not like he's giving 1% to the pilot and 1% to the president and 1% to the Pope.
He's not multitasking.
He can't multitask because that implies doing multiple things in the same moment of time. Because he has infinite now to work with, he gives 100% of his attention to the pilot.
And he gives 100% of his attention to the president.
Eternally, not simultaneously.
You see the difference?
I do. This changes the whole personal relationship dynamic. I think a lot of people feel like they're just a number to God. I am just one of the billions of sheep. He knows I'm here, but he doesn't really know me.
That is a very deistic view. It is the watchmaker God who winds it up and walks away. But the biblical God, the reformed God, is intimately involved with every atom, every sparrow, every hair in your head. And this view of time explains how that is possible without it being a logical contradiction.
It means when you're in your room praying and you feel like you're talking to the ceiling,
Mm.
God is actually listening to you with more focus than you're listening to yourself.
He is listening to you as if you were the only creature he ever made. Lewis says, and this is so powerful, Christ died for you individually.
That is a huge statement. It connects directly to the atonement. We sometimes think of the cross as a bulk transaction. Jesus paid the debt for the mass of humanity, like a corporate bailout.
A blanket policy that covers everyone who signs up.
Right. But if God is outside of time, then when Jesus hung on the cross, he wasn't just thinking about the world in some generic sense. He was experiencing the specific sins of specific people in an eternal present.
So he saw me.
He saw you. He saw your specific sin from last Tuesday. He paid for it specifically.
That is terrifying and comforting at the same time.
It should be. It removes the anonymity of sin. You can't say, oh, I'm just part of a fallen world. No, you are an individual before an eternal God.
But it also removes the anonymity of grace.
That's the other side of the coin. You are loved individually, known individually, saved individually.
Okay, I want to pivot to the analogy that Lewis uses to explain how this works, because talking about eternal nows and infinite attention is great, but my brain still wants a picture, and Lewis gives us the novelist.
This is, in my opinion, the strongest analogy he offers. It's not perfect, no analogy for God is, but it gets us 90% of the way there.
To set the scene.
Imagine you are writing a book, a novel. Let's say it's a mystery. You have a character. Let's call her Mary.
Okay, I'm the author. Mary's my character.
You write a sentence. Mary laid down her work. Next moment came a knock at the door.
Simple enough. Action. Reaction.
Now put yourself inside the book. Become Mary. What is her experience of time?
It's instantaneous. I put down the knitting, bang, there's a knock at the door. There is no gap. It's cause and effect, one right after the other.
Right. In the imaginary time of the story, those two events are back to back, maybe a second apart.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, step back out. You are the author again. You write the first part of the sentence, Mary laid down her work, and then you get writer's block.
Happens all the time.
Or your phone rings. Or you realize you need a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You stand up, you walk to the kitchen, you grind the beans, you brew the coffee, you look out the window at the rain. You think about how you want the knock to sound. Is it a loud knock? A hesitant knock?
I might be away from the desk for 20 minutes. Or a week, if the writer's block is bad.
Let's say it's 3 hours. You sit back down, take a sip of coffee, and write the second half. Next moment came a knock at the door.
Okay.
Here's the question. Did Mary wait for 3 hours?
No, of course not.
Did Mary sit there frozen in her chair, wondering why the universe had stopped?
No. She doesn't know about the coffee. She doesn't know about the rain outside my window. Those 3 hours simply do not exist in her world. They're not part of her timeline.
Exactly. There is a real time that you, the author, live in, and there is an imaginary time that Mary lives in. And they're completely independent. You can spend an infinite amount of your time between 2 seconds of her time.
And the application is obvious. God is the author. We are the characters.
We are living in the book. We are rushing from sentence to sentence. I had to get to work. I have to pick up the kids. I have to pay this bill. We are trapped in the narrative flow.
But God.
God is the one holding the pen. He is not trapped in the sentence with us. He isn't rushing to find out what happens on the next page. He wrote the next page.
This is where it gets into sovereignty, doesn't it? This is where it gets really reformed.
It absolutely does. This is why a reformed view of God is so robust. We don't believe God as a character in the story reacting to what the other characters do. Oh, no, Adam ate the fruit. What do I do now? Let me quickly write a plan B.
That's the open theism view, right? The idea that God is learning as he goes, reacting to our choices.
Yes, and it is a disaster theologically. If God is reacting, he is not sovereign. But if God is the author, the entire story, from in the beginning to Amen, is a finished work in his mind.
So when I'm waiting for an answer to prayer, and I feel like God is taking too long,
You are judging the timing of the author from the perspective of the character. You are saying the pacing of this chapter is too slow. But the author knows exactly why the pacing is that way. He knows that the suspense is necessary for the climax in chapter 10.
that puts a lot of trust in the author.
That is what faith is. It is trusting that the author is good and that the story has a point even when you are in the dark, confusing part of the plot.
But Lewis adds a nuance here. He says the analogy breaks down in one specific way, and I think this is important so we don't think God is just, a guy at a desk somewhere.
Right. It's a crucial distinction. In the analogy, the author steps out of the novel's time, but he is still in real time.
Right? He's still aging. The coffee is getting cold. The clock on his wall is still ticking.
But God doesn't have a real time parallel to ours.
So he's not just in a slower time.
No. He's in no time. Lewis says God's life is himself.
That is a heavy phrase. Unpack that. What does that mean, God's life is himself?
Well, think about our lives. We possess our life in fragments. I have the me of today. The me of yesterday is a memory. The me of tomorrow is a hope. I never possess my whole self at once.
Right.
I am always bleeding away into the past.
Like water slipping through your fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But God is a solid block of reality. He possesses his entire being, his power, his knowledge, his joy in one single eternal act. He doesn't have memories because nothing is past for him. He doesn't have anticipation because nothing is future for him.
He just is.
He just is. This connects directly to the name he gives Moses at the burning bush. I am.
I am that I am.
Not I was, not I will be. Eternal present.
Lewis gives us a second visual to help with this, the line and the page.
Yes, this one is helpful for the geometry of it.
Imagine a piece of white paper, a big blank sheet.
Okay.
You take a pen and you draw a straight line across it from left to right.
That line is time.
That line is history. That line is my life. That line is the timeline of the universe. Now, we are living on the line. We are little dots moving from left to right.
We could see the part of the line we just walked over. That's history. That's our memory.
But we can't see the part of the line ahead of us. That's the unknown future. We have to leave point A to get to point B.
God is not on the line.
God is the page.
He is the paper itself. He contains the line.
Or, to use Lewis's exact phrasing, he is above and outside or all around it.
So if I am the page, or if I am looking down at the page, I can see the start of the line, the middle of the line, and the end of the line in a single glance.
Exactly. You don't have to move your eye from left to right to know that the line ends. You see the whole thing as a single, complete object.
This completely solves the foreknowledge problem, doesn't it?
Oh.
We always ask, how does God know the future? As if he's some kind of cosmic fortune teller.
Right.
And this model says, he doesn't foresee it, he sees it. To foresee implies you are looking ahead on the timeline. God isn't looking ahead. He is looking at the whole timeline.
He's looking at 2030 just as clearly as he is looking at 2024. They are both just marks on the paper that he is holding.
And for the Reformed listener, this is the bedrock of election. Ephesians 1 says, he chose us before the foundation of the world. How?
How could he?
Because the foundation of the world and the moment of your salvation are both present to him in the eternal decree. He sees the whole plan as a finished structure, a complete line on the page.
It effectively kills anxiety about the future of the world. The world isn't spinning out of control. The line isn't going to suddenly run off the paper.
The line goes exactly where he drew it.
Okay, so we've established that God is the author, the page, the eternal now. This makes sense for God the Father. It fits the high, transcendent, sovereign God. But we're Christians. We believe that this God became a man.
The incarnation, the central mystery.
This is the hurdle Lewis admits stumbled him for a long time. It's the central paradox of our faith. How can the eternal, timeless page become a dot on the line?
It is the question that splits religions. Islam, for example, says it's impossible. God is too great to become a man. We say it is essential.
But logically, it is a mess, isn't it? I mean, think about Jesus in the Gospels. He's a baby. He learns to walk. He gets tired. He sleeps. He asks questions.
Who touched me?
Right. And at the very same time, we claim he is the God who holds the universe together, by whom all things consist. So the skeptic asks, how can he be running the universe and sleeping in a boat at the same time?
Or, how could he know everything as God, but not know the day or the hour of his return as a man? It seems like a blatant contradiction.
It looks like a contradiction. It feels like one.
It looks like a contradiction because of that little phrase again. At the same time.
We're back to the timeline trap.
We are. We picture God's existence as a long, infinite timeline. And then we picture Jesus' life, say, 4 BC to 30 AD, as a little segment of that timeline.
Right. Like God was God for eternity. Then, for 33 years, he paused being fully God to go do the Jesus thing on earth.
Like taking a leave of absence from his job as God.
Yeah. And then he went back to being God afterwards.
That's the kenosis error, the idea that he emptied himself of divinity. But Orthodox theology, Chalcedonian Orthodoxy, says he added humanity. He didn't subtract divinity.
So how does the time concept fix this problem?
Lewis argues that the life of Christ on earth, the birth, the teaching, the cross, the resurrection, is a period in our history. It is a segment on the line.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a historical event.
But God's life is not on the line. So we cannot say that the incarnation interrupted God's life.
It didn't interrupt it. How?
No. Imagine the page again. The page is touching the line at every single point, sustaining it. That's God's providence.
Okay.
But at one specific segment of the line in first century Palestine, the page didn't just touch the line. The page wrote himself into the line.
He entered the story.
He entered the story as a character without ever ceasing to be the author.
That is the key. Shakespeare can write himself into a play as a character. He can walk on stage. He can talk to Hamlet. But while the Shakespeare character is on stage, the Shakespeare author is still the one writing the play.
Exactly. The character on stage might be limited. He might only know what is happening in that scene. He might express fatigue or surprise. But the author knows the whole plot from beginning to end.
So when Jesus is sleeping in the boat,
The human nature of Christ is exhausted and sleeping. It is subject to the timeline of the story. It's experiencing that moment sequentially. But the divine person, the second person of the Trinity, is simultaneously, in the eternal sense, upholding the atoms of the water and the wood of the boat.
he never stopped being God.
He never stopped being God for a single second. Lewis makes a bold statement here, is one that really makes you stop and think. He says, God has no history.
That stopped me when I read it. God has no history. We talk about salvation history all the time in theology.
We do, but that's the history of God's interaction with us, with his creation, which exists in time. God in himself, no history.
Why is that a good thing? To me, history gives things weight. I have a history. My country has a history. It feels like a positive thing.
Lewis flips that on its head. He says to have a history means to lose something.
To lose something. How so?
There's your childhood.
It's gone. It's in the past. It's just memories.
It is lost. It slipped away into the past. Where is your old age?
Hasn't happened yet, hopefully.
So you lack it. To have a history means you are constantly losing reality and waiting for new reality. You are never whole.
I am leaking reality. That's a strange thought.
We all are. We're buckets with holes in them. But God has no holes. He retains everything. He is too completely and utterly real to have a history.
So saying God has no history isn't an insult. It's not saying he's static or boring. It's the highest praise. It means he is the solid rock.
He is the anchor. And because he is the anchor, the incarnation is the anchor holding fast to the shifting sands of history. The eternal truth became a historical fact. That is the miracle.
Man, that is heavy. But it solves the sleeping in the boat problem. He isn't switching back and forth between God mode and man mode. The divine life encompasses the human life eternally.
Yes, the humiliation of the cross, the weakness of the baby, these are not things God passed through and left behind. They are eternally part of the identity of Christ now. He is the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
Okay, we have one more giant dragon to slay in this chapter, and this is the one that usually starts the bar fights in seminary.
Free will.
Free will versus predestination, or more specifically in this context, free will versus divine foreknowledge.
It's the classic dilemma, isn't it? If God knows what I'm going to do tomorrow, do I have a choice?
Walk us through the logic of the objection. Lay it out for us.
The skeptic says, God is omniscient. He knows everything. Therefore, God knows that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I will eat scrambled eggs.
Okay, a simple premise.
Now, the skeptic continues, since God cannot be wrong, it is an unchangeable fact that I will eat scrambled eggs. When 8 a.m. arrives, I must eat scrambled eggs. If I tried to eat pancakes, I would make God a liar, which is impossible. Therefore, I have no freedom. I am programmed to eat the eggs.
It makes me sound like a robot, a scrambled egg eating robot. My choice is just an illusion.
It is a logical trap. The premise is, if it is foreseen, it is fixed.
So how does the time concept get us out of the trap?
It attacks the word foreseen.
We're back to the telescope idea.
Right. The objection assumes that God is standing in today looking at tomorrow through a crystal ball or a super powerful telescope. It assumes he is predicting your behavior based on perfect data.
Like a supercomputer predicting the weather. Given all the variables, it calculates the outcome.
Exactly. But if God is outside of time, he isn't predicting, he is observing.
Explain the difference. That's a key distinction.
Let's say you look out your window right now. You see your neighbor walking his dog.
Okay, I see him. He's wearing a red jacket. The dog is a golden retriever.
Does your seeing him force him to walk the dog? Did your observation cause it to happen?
No, he chose to walk the dog. I'm just watching it happen.
Does your knowledge of the red jacket cause the jacket to be red?
No, of course not. My knowledge is a result of the reality, not the cause of it.
Precisely. Observation does not destroy freedom. Now, elevate that to God. God is looking at your tomorrow. But to him, it isn't tomorrow, it is now.
So he is looking at the scrambled eggs on the plate.
He is watching you pick up the fork. He is watching you chew. He is seeing it as a present reality. He isn't guessing. He isn't calculating probabilities. He is looking at the event itself as it happens in his eternal present.
So God knows I will eat eggs because, in his view, I am eating eggs.
Yes, the act is free. You chose the eggs. God simply sees the choice you freely made.
This implies that God's knowledge follows the event, logically speaking, even if it precedes it from our temporal perspective.
In a sense, yes. Lewis says, and this is a bit of a brain twister, he does not know your action until you have done it. But then the moment at which you have done it is already now for him.
That is a brain twister. Let me try to say that back. So my action happens, and my doing it is what makes it known. It's just that for God, the moment I do it is a moment he has always been seeing.
You got it. It essentially means you are free to do what you want. But whatever you freely choose to do, God has already seen it.
Now, I have to play the Reformed card here. Because Lewis was Anglican, and sometimes Anglicans can get a little squishy on the sovereignty side. Reformed theology would go a step further, wouldn't it?
We would, yes. We would say, yes, God observes the action, but why is the action there to be observed in the first place?
Because he wrote the book.
Because he is the author.
Yeah.
The Reformed view says, yes, you freely chose the eggs, you weren't coerced, you did what you wanted to do, but who gave you the appetite for eggs that morning? Who created the hen that laid the egg? Who arranged the molecules of the universe such that you were standing in that kitchen at that moment?
God.
So we can hold both truths. God is the author who wrote the scene, determining that it would happen. He decreed it. But he wrote it in such a way that the character acts freely according to his nature and desires.
That's the secondary causes doctrine you find in the Westminster Confession?
Exactly. God is the first cause. But he works the secondary causes. Your will, your appetite, the frying pan. He doesn't override your will like a puppet master. He creates the context in which your will freely operates toward his ordained end.
But Lewis's point about time helps remove that feeling of being a puppet. It keeps us from fatalism.
It does. It saves us from fatalism. Fatalism says, whatever I do doesn't matter, the result is fixed. The eternal now says, what you do matters immensely because God is watching you do it right now.
He is the eternal spectator of your life as well as the author.
And that restores the dignity of human action. We aren't just gears in a machine. We are living characters in a drama that is being eternally enjoyed by its creator.
We have covered a massive amount of ground here. We've gone from switchboards to pilots to novelists to geometry to scrambled eggs.
It is a lot to take in. It's a dense chapter.
And Lewis knows it. I love how he ends this chapter. He basically puts his hands up and says, look, this is not the gospel.
It is a very important disclaimer. He says this is a Christian idea, meaning it has a long and respected tradition of the church, but it is not in the creed. You do not have to swear allegiance to the eternal now to be saved.
You don't have to understand metaphysics to love Jesus.
Thank goodness for that. That's a relief for all of us.
Lewis says if these ideas help you, use them. If they remove a stumbling block, if they help you pray with more confidence or understand Jesus better or trust God's plan more, then they are good tools.
But if they just make you dizzy, if they sound like philosophical nonsense to you,
then scrap them. Forget you ever heard this.
Put them on the shelf. Maybe you'll come back to them in 10 years and they will click. Or maybe never. And that is fine. Theology is meant to be a window to look at God, not a painting to look at for its own sake. If the window is dirty for you, find another window.
But for me, this window is crystal clear. It solves so much.
It was a game changer for me as well. It took God out of the big man in the skybox and put him back where he belongs, as the transcendent ground of all being.
So let's bring this in for a landing. We always want to leave our listeners with something practical because Reformed thinking isn't just about big heads, it's about big hearts. How does this change your Tuesday morning?
For me, it revolutionizes prayer. I struggle with a feeling of rushing. I rush through my Bible reading. I rush through my prayer list. I feel like I'm wasting God's time.
Hurry up! God has a universe to run. Get to the point.
Exactly. But this truth tells me there is no rush. In the internal, no, God has all the time in the world for me. I'm not competing for his attention. I have his ear completely. It invites me to slow down, to breathe, to actually be with him.
It validates that desire to be known. We all want to be known, fully and deeply. This doctrine says you are known better than you know yourself. You are the protagonist of the story God is paying infinite attention to.
And it gives me peace about my life. I often feel like I'm losing time. I'm getting older. My kids are growing up too fast. The sand is running out of the hourglass.
That's the tragedy of the timeline, isn't it? The constant sense of loss.
But this view reminds me, nothing is lost to God. My children as babies, they are still present to him. My parents who have passed away, they are present to him. The best moments of my life aren't gone. They are permanently written in the book. They are safe in his eternity.
That is a beautiful thought. God is the keeper of our days.
He gathers up the fragments so that nothing is lost.
I want to leave the listener with one final thought, something to chew on this week. It's a bit of a provocation, building on that.
Go for it.
If God sees our whole life as a single now, if he sees the line on the page all at once, what does that mean for grace?
What do you mean by that?
We tend to think of grace sequentially. I sin, then I feel bad, then I confess, then he forgives. It's a transaction that happens in time.
Right. A process.
But if God sees the whole line, he sees the sin I committed yesterday, the struggle I am having today, and the saint I will be in glory, all at the same time.
He sees the finished product.
Does that mean that when he looks at you, messy, struggling, imperfect, he is simultaneously seeing the glorified, perfect, Christ-like you that you will be in heaven?
That would mean his love for you isn't just based on your current performance. It's not a response to how good you were today. It's based on your eternal reality in Christ.
It means grace covers the person, not just the moment. He loves the whole line, from beginning to end.
That is the gospel. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion, because in his eyes, it is already complete.
It is finished.
Amen?
Thank you for walking through this deep water with us. We hope your mind is stretched, but more importantly, we hope your view of God is bigger than it was an hour ago.
Keep thinking. Keep reading.
And we will see you next time on Reformed Thinking.